Hey guys, welcome to Lyme Light, where I shed light on everything in Lyme. In today's video, I'm going to go through my post-Lyme diagnosis. So this is a follow-up video to video number 1, where I basically give the story of how I discovered that I have Lyme disease. If you haven't seen that video, I'll post it below. I definitely recommend go back and watch that video. And this video is video number 2. This is my post-Lyme diagnosis story. So I'm just going to be careful to say story and journey. I'm not trying to give anybody any sort of treatment recommendations in this video. I'm basically just going to tell you what my journey, what my story has been up to this point. I'll go ahead and just fast forward from that point to now and give you guys basically a picture of where things are at for me right now. So for me right now, pretty much I wouldn't necessarily say anybody would know or guess that anything's going on with me. I've been, for the most part, fairly symptom-free for probably a pretty long time now, a number of months. And I say symptom-free, I mean, I'm not necessarily dealing with dramatic symptoms or effects of Lyme. However, you know, there probably is definitely some cognitive memory loss still going on. If you ask my wife, she'll definitely attest to that. And then just in general, probably some fatigue and just feeling drowsy and run down. I definitely have days where I just am low energy. Quite a few days, quite a bit of that. And then other than that, I will from time to time get headaches, and I will still experience some back discomfort or back pain. Nothing to the degree, though, that I was feeling that summer of 2022. So if you haven't seen the first video, that's where the story starts, is basically in that spring of 2022. And then into that summer when I found out that I had Lyme disease. So I'll just tell you guys where I'm at right now and tell you what I'm taking right now, which basically I feel is just maintaining my current well-being state. So back here, these are the supplements that I'm taking currently. This is magnesium, pure magnesium. This is a must-have. I take 3 of these every day. These are, let's see, how many milligrams are these? I believe they're 200 milligram. Oh, 120 milligram. So 120 milligram, I'm taking that 3 times a day. I take 2 at night and 1 in the morning. What the magnesium does is I think it definitely helps with some of the heart pain, the heart issues that I was kind of experiencing, but it also very much helps with my nerve pain and muscle spasms. So after the nerve pain kind of subsided, I started having just regular muscle spasms and muscle twitches. So if I have not been taking my magnesium, those muscle twitches do come back. The next most important one is fish oil. So this is what I use. It's just a very high quality fish oil. I take 2 of these in the morning every day. If I don't take my fish oil, then, you know, my brain fog kind of comes back, and I definitely can tell if I've not been taking my fish oil. I'm very good at taking my supplements, though. I don't miss days, and I really haven't run out in, you know, a long time or ever since I started. This next one, this one is OSHA root. I'll link a video below about a guy who basically has had phenomenal results with OSHA root. He feels like he healed his body using OSHA root. I can't say definitively whether I've seen any results or not as to the use of OSHA root. I have another friend whose wife has Lyme. She's been taking OSHA root as well. So I'll try to get an update and let you guys know in a future video how that's going for her. For me, possibly there's been some benefit. I'm not exactly sure. Due to this guy's information, this guy's video, I felt strongly enough that maybe it would be helpful, and I've been taking 1 of these every day. Jump to these other 2, just basically vitamin B and then vitamin D, which I don't have here. And then this is another one that I have been taking regularly just for cardiovascular health. I think I take 2 of these, 2 capsules a day. So And then this one is actually very early on. I found a guy's information for this photo tick defense, and there's three supplements that go along with photo tick defense. If you just search photo tick defense and you find this gentleman who has released this, you'll find more information about his supplements and his story. He basically has been Lyme free for a long time, he feels, and it's basically natural herbs. So it's lion's mane, sweet wormwood, cat's claw. So it's basically a mixture of helpful herbs. I think this really has had positive results. I did take this in combination with the two other supplements that he recommends to go along with this. One of them basically helps remyelinate those cells on your brain that are having demyelinization. And then I can't remember what the other supplement was doing. And then there's a fourth actually that goes along with these. And that was for any sort of Herx reaction. So if you're basically, I think, having any sort of Herx reaction, then you also take that one. So I just ran out of these. I haven't continued to take these. I don't know if I will or not. I think in general, these herbs are beneficial and good for you. So I probably, if I don't restock on this, I'll probably look for something else that has a lot of these herbs like cat's claw and lion's mane and that such. So those are the few supplements that I'm taking currently right now. And I'll get into my story, but the supplements that I started taking initially when I was still doing very poorly were quite a bit more. I'll show you guys how much more. So we have all of these. These are different things. Bordapella. This is great if you have migraines or headaches. I definitely suggest this. And we just have a whole lot of stuff in here. Oh, this is that other one of that gentleman's for photo tick defense that he suggests. Just a whole lot of stuff. So that's what I'm going to get into for this video, the story of all these supplements. That was just one bin of them. There's also all of these as well. So just a whole lot of supplements. So I'll just go back to referencing the first video. So at the first video, if you remember, I was in the hospital. I wasn't doing very well. They thought that I had MS because I had demyelinization basically on my brain that they found in an MRI. I was released from the hospital basically saying I needed to follow up with a neurologist. And then it was almost a week later, the next week, that I got a phone call saying that one of the tests, a Lyme test, tested positive and that I had Lyme disease. And so at this point, me and my wife, we went back into my primary doctor because the treatment for Lyme disease with the doctor and with the hospital was a follow-up with my primary doctor. And with her, she went through the next steps, which were an antibiotic protocol regimen. So basically, they were going to give me a dosage of antibiotics, a very strong dosage of antibiotics. Sometimes if they catch it soon enough, and I think if you have the tick bite, they just start giving you oral antibiotics. I think because of the severity of the pain that I was in and my hospital stay, they decided to do a PICC line, is what they call it. So a PICC line is basically where they insert a tube through your arm here, and then it drops down into your chest right near your heart. And then you basically have some pump syringes of the antibiotic that you connect to those tubes, and then you push in, and then that's how you administer the antibiotics. So the doctor basically went through how my wife was to administer these antibiotics daily. So it was going to be twice a day. I believe there was 3 or 4 syringes. You had to flush it with saline and then put in the antibiotic and then flush it with saline again. Or there might have been like another one in there, a Herx or something, solution. But so I went back into the hospital to have that PICC line inserted. It was a bit of a procedure, not terrible, but I could feel it going in, and then I had some tubes after that dangling from my arm in a band, and it was going to be 14 days of antibiotics 2 times a day. These antibiotics were, I think they might have been shipped straight to our house. So she said we'd be receiving the package in a few days, that the order was in. Somebody came by and delivered it. It was a box, and it had all the syringes with the antibiotics and the saline and everything you needed. And me and my wife proceeded to administer these antibiotics. So up to this point, after I left the hospital, I was still dealing with the nerve pain, with the back pain, with brain fog. I at this point, I quit working completely. I couldn't function. I couldn't think. And I was still sitting in my recliner pretty much all day, every day. And we started administering these antibiotics. And for the first time, I started feeling better, actually. So after we started administering these antibiotics, things kind of started to clear up. My head cleared up, the pain started to subside, and I started to feel a bit normal again, and the first time for a long time. And that was very encouraging. So I thought that this was going to be it. I thought we were going to do this round of antibiotics, and I was going to be healed, and that was going to be the end of the story. Unfortunately, as many of you probably have found out for yourselves, antibiotics are not always the end of the story. So at about day 10, I started having a reaction to the antibiotics. I was breaking out in hives all over my body, and we called the doctor to let them know, and she told me to stop the antibiotics. She felt like 10 days, it was 10 or 11 days, she felt like that was long enough, that the antibiotics have done their job, and come in, stop administering antibiotics, and she'd schedule us. I'd come in to her office, and she'd remove the PICC line. And so that's what happened. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, kind of like I was when I was in the hospital, that I didn't finish my steroid regimen, which, backtracking to that, after I found out I had Lyme, I realized that steroids were the last thing that I should have been given. So unfortunately, because they thought I had MS, they started steroids. But when you have Lyme, steroids are not beneficial, and they actually counteract the treatment for Lyme, because I believe that steroids counteract antibiotics. And so I was kind of tripping out about that already, like, oh my gosh, I've already taken all these steroids, that wasn't the right thing. It's not good for me. But now, after having the antibiotics and feeling somewhat, back to normal, I was very much encouraged. And then having to stop the antibiotics early, I kind of got discouraged about that. I don't like to not complete things, and so maybe it was just part of that. But we went back into the doctor's office. She removed the PICC line and basically said, well, good luck. We're all done here. And, the whole time I was going in and out of the doctor, my primary doctor, I felt like they didn't really believe me a lot of the time. I felt like she just kept telling me, I needed to get out there and go walk because, that's what's going to be best for my back that was hurting. I could kind of tell that she was skeptical of all of it. I think when I had the Lyme diagnosis, it might have made more sense to her, but it still seemed very much she was just kind of doing her job, and now, that job was finished as far as she was concerned. I was all better, and the antibiotics had done the job. But unfortunately, about 3 or 4 days later, after those antibiotics, pretty much all of those symptoms came back, and I was pretty much back to where I was prior to the antibiotics. I was a bit of an emotional mess, of course, and it's just still in a bunch of pain. And that's when me and my wife started looking into Lyme treatment more diligently, and started realizing that that often is the case that antibiotics don't work, especially if you don't catch Lyme right away. And to be honest, I don't know when or how I contracted Lyme disease. I never had a tick bite, and if I were to guess, if it was from a tick, it would have been months and months prior. It would have been the November prior to that summer that it was last up in the woods, and might have gotten a tick bite. But I have another suspicion. My mom has actually was diagnosed when I was in high school with MS. She was diagnosed for a couple of years with MS, and then they ruled out MS, saying that it wasn't MS. And she went to a specialty clinic in Seattle. They thought it was some sort of rare genetic disease called CADASIL. And then she remained, and then they ruled that out for some reason, and she's remained undiagnosed since I was in my early 20s. So it's been almost 20 years now. My mom has been just categorized with a degenerative brain disease, is what they've been calling it. And that's because she's also had demyelinization on her MRIs. She had a host of symptoms while I was in high school, migraines that were so intense that she would black out, and seizure-like symptoms. She had pain in her body, and it got to the point, it was so bad for her that she actually moved out of the house. She moved in with her parents because her mom, my grandmother, was a registered nurse, so that they could take care of her. Since then, she's kind of stabled off. She's still with us today, and through my experience, I've been very suspicious now if she's had Lyme, and so I'll definitely be following up with that kind of rabbit trail. I wonder if she has Lyme, if I have had Lyme my whole life and it just wasn't reacted until that spring. But I honestly don't know at this point. So I know there are doctors that do talk about and believe that there is a thing called gestational Lyme, where a mother can pass it on to their kids. We have a friend who believes her situation might be that. She just found out that she has Lyme. She's been dealing with for a long time, and their daughter has been showing some different signs of possible Lyme symptoms. So a super sad scenario. If any of you are possibly in that boat and wondering about that, I sympathize with you. It has kind of concerned me. Me and my wife have kids, and so it's definitely something that I think about. So I'm actually going to have my mom get tested, and then I'll follow up with you guys as to the results of that test, and we'll see. So anyways, back to my post-Lyme diagnosis and treatment. So me and my wife at this point were looking for natural alternatives. That's when we found the crock pot diet. I started eating out of a crock pot, basically learned that we needed to take anything inflammatory out of my diet, and out of my environment as well. So that was another big thing, is we discovered how toxins can affect people with Lyme. And so we actually had our house tested for mold, and we found mold. So we found mold in our bedroom, and I think in one other spot in the house. And so we went through just a terrible homeowner's experience of trying to remediate mold. Some people might say or think that mold toxicity can actually be what's going on and disguise itself as Lyme disease. I definitely think that's possible. I followed up with my own mold experience with a mold allergen test, and I tested negative for any sort of mold allergy. I don't think that's what it was in my case. I think it has been Lyme, but there definitely is a lot of evidence, I believe, that if you're dealing with mold toxicity issues, that it can present itself like Lyme. And so definitely, if you think that you might have Lyme or suspect that you have Lyme, definitely check out your environment and see if it could be mold exposure. Mold exposure can actually, I believe it can do all of these things that we talk about with Lyme. It can actually cause a demyelinization as well. And then, of course, other Lyme-like symptoms. So definitely look into that. You definitely have to make sure your environment is clean and clear. So alongside, so that was kind of later down our journey, but me and my wife, we came across something called Lyme Stop. And so there's a doctor who has this treatment called Lyme Stop. His name is Dr. Smith. He's pretty well known. We were looking into all of the well-known treatments, natural treatments that are out there. We found a place in Florida. We were considering going to a friend of ours at the school that our kids go to. That's where he went for his treatment, and so we were looking into that. However, it was pretty expensive. And not even including the travel. We're up in North Idaho, so it would have been quite the feat to get there. And then I believe the treatment was 2 months or something like that, and pretty costly. But we found that there was this Dr. Smith, and he was actually here local. He lived in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is where I'm from. And so we were ecstatic to find that there was a Lyme specialist right down the street from where we lived. We made a call. There was a 2-month waiting list. Kind of discouraged about that for sure, but we let them know that we were local. If they had any cancellations, I could be there in basically 20 minutes. And so that's what ended up happening. So we got on their waiting list. It was 2 months out. At this point it's July, beginning of July or something, and my appointment wasn't until the end of August or September. But we got a call just like 2 weeks after that. Me and my wife were just praying like crazy. And here's my dog. And we got the call, God answered prayer. We got the call. There was a cancellation. I was able to get in just a couple weeks. And that really was the start of my healing process, was going to see Dr. Smith. Some of what Dr. Smith does is probably unorthodox as far as doctor and healthcare is concerned. But I think a lot of you can probably relate. I was game for anything that might work or that might help. So sign me up. It didn't matter what it was. If it could help, I was ready, because at this point I was in so much physical pain that I didn't want to continue. Honestly, I just couldn't imagine living much longer in that much pain. And so, I just thank God for my family. It was a super challenging time for all of us, and it was very scary. I was imagining their life without me, and that was scary. So I go through this Dr. Smith's Lyme Stop, and basically I go in there for the initial diagnosis, which basically he just kind of stands you in front of him, and he does some of the muscle memory tests, and he kind of puts some pressure points on your body in different places and in your head, and he can however they do it, but he basically said, yes, you have Lyme, Borrelia on the brain. I think that was the first time that I actually heard the term Borrelia. And so, but as soon as I heard that, of course, all the worst case scenarios come to mind. Borrelia on the brain, what does that mean? So that was just the initial like confirmation. Yes, you have Lyme. Yes, we can help you. I went home after that and just started looking into Borrelia and what that was. Basically, one of the co-infections. Something I should note too, during the hospital stay, they also found Epstein-Barr. So Epstein-Barr is very, very common for people that have Lyme. It's just another co-infection. Lots of people have Epstein-Barr. It's very common, but it definitely contributes to some of that fatigue and things that you have with Lyme. And so now the follow-up appointments are happening with Dr. Smith. It basically was, I think it was 2 weeks, 3 days a week of appointments. You'd have a morning appointment and then an afternoon appointment. You'd come into his office. He'd do some work with magnets, putting magnets on different parts of your body, and then basically doing some different things with vials full of different essence or something. I don't really know. And then you would leave his office and you'd go into another gal's office, and she'd start going through all the information, what's important for your diet, what's important, for you to be doing. So the first thing that they focused on with supplements was making sure that your liver was good and detoxing your liver. And so it kind of was a stage progression into the supplements. So first you took 1 to 3 weeks worth of a certain amount of certain supplements in order to help your liver. And then after that, then you started taking like the full regimen of supplements. And, I have those supplements here. So I'm going to go through all of these, and I'm actually going to list them in the description below. There's just so much here. It's going to take forever to go through it in any sort of video. So I think I'll just either, link some resources or just type it all out in the description below. But I started those supplements, and it's a 4-month regimen of those supplements, and it's a lot of supplements. I mean, I walked out of that office after my last appointment with a bag, basically like, 2 shopping bags full of supplements, and that comes with the cost. The cost was $3,500 for the appointments, for the consultation, and for all the supplements. Honestly, I feel like that was a bargain. Just in the supplement cost alone, it's probably about what it would cost for all these supplements, because supplements are not inexpensive. They're quite expensive. So I definitely feel like I got the money's worth out of that. And honestly, guys, like, it was just a slow progression of starting to do and feel a little bit better and a little bit better. And it was diet, it was the supplements, it was trying to take stress out of my life, out of my body, and I just started feeling a little bit better and a little bit better. After that, after that 4 months or 3 months, there was a follow-up. I was night and day different during that follow-up. And then since then, I haven't really had any follow-up with that doctor, although I can. That's one thing. It's kind of like a membership. I can go back in there and, he can, put some more magnets on me and treat some things and consult. I think the consulting is definitely very valuable. But of course, I continue to do the supplements that I'm taking because, like I said, I definitely still have some things going on, some symptoms, some brain fog if I don't keep up on that fish oil, fatigue, and then the muscle spasms, muscle twitches if I'm not taking my magnesium. Other than that, though, guys, I feel like I'm pretty much back to normal. Other than just, I definitely feel weaker. I definitely feel less energy. So not 100% by any means, not back to my Spartan body, my Spartan fitness. I do hope I'll still run a Spartan someday. I don't think tomorrow is that day. I don't think I'm there yet, but I have been working out again this year. So now, we're January 22nd, 2024, and I was at the height of all this, June, July, August of 2022. So, it's been quite a while, and I'm still feeling like I'm trying to get back to where I was at prior to Lyme, and I feel like I'm getting closer, every month. My workouts have been good. I haven't felt like I've had the back pain, hasn't really come back like it had before. If I do, if I overdo it in the yard or doing house projects, then my back pain will come back. Not to the degree at all that it was before, but just some lower back pain that can last a few days or up to a week. After painting my ceiling, it lasted a couple weeks. And anytime I have the back pain, it comes back. It is a little bit scary. I just worry about going into remission or whatnot, and everything kind of coming back. But I think now I know that I've got tools, and I'm equipped, with supplements and knowledge that's going to help me out. I definitely think that the natural route is probably the route that many of us have to go. I know there are people who have had success with the antibiotics, and they take the round of antibiotics and they're better, and that's great. Unfortunately, in my situation, like many other situations, it didn't work out like that. And so now I just feel like this is something that I'll continue to live with. But that's kind of what this channel will be about. It's, how do we not just live with this, but how do we actually thrive in life and not let Lyme get us down? So that'll be in some future videos as well. So until then, I hope you guys stay happy, stay healthy. Definitely, Lyme is all about trying to keep your mind positive and stay focused on hope, because there is hope. Things can get better, much, much better. And so I encourage you in that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.